out of necessity. I think what publishers started to realize is that they were losing direct engagement with their audience. They weren't connecting with them directly anymore. So I think that absolutely, and I think this is where, certainly from Taboola's perspective, I think we've really started to help our publishers. And a couple of examples of that are, I would say, around feed. I think one of the things that we as a platform, and I think as our publishing partners of India have recognized, is that the user experience is changing. What the likes of the walled gardens like social have done is they've educated us how to consume content. And what was happening was the publishers were breaking that habit. As we were leaving our news feed, we were getting into a publisher's website, we were scrolling, and then it just stopped. So with the Taboola feed, I think what we've been able to do is see that firstly we've had incredibly high adoption across our publishing partners here in India, and we're delivering that same infinite scroll experience now. So that means as a user, I can spend more time on publishers' websites, I'm consuming more of their content, I'm getting many more different experiences. And I think because of that, it's certainly helping them take a much stronger fight to the walled gardens and try and keep that user for longer. I think the other thing that has certainly been able to help is around personalization. I think publishers recognize that user experience is critical. And by delivering the user experience we want with this scroll, but also the fact that the content we're recommending is very much personalized to that individual, I think that's really two very key important parts on how publishers have demonstrated that they are really trying to compete with the challenges they face around walled gardens. Yeah, I think it's definitely diminishing. I think it's still here for a while, I would say, but again, I think platforms similar to Taboola, I think discovery type platforms are really important, because for a brand to be able to engage with their audience, it's not just about the cookie anymore. Taboola, as an example, we're taking over 50 different signals. We look at consumer behavior, we look at passions, we look at interests. Outside of just the cookie data that's available, we know what you're reading right now, what you were reading before you came to this website, we know where you go next. And I think by building in all of that information and insight around the users is going to enable them to still target an audience and deliver the right message at the right time on the right platform to the right user. So I think that as the technology gets more sophisticated, the reliance solely on cookies can definitely become a lot less. A huge challenge, but I think the steps that we've taken are a number of things. It's something, firstly, we take very seriously. Since fake news became a thing, we made a big step in investing in content review team. So we've now got a team of roughly about 80 people, and we are reviewing content in every language around the world. So every single piece of sponsored content that gets promoted on Taboola Network, first of all, has to comply with a very strict policy guideline. And all of that content is reviewed by human eyes first. So we're looking at the headlines, the images, the landing pages, and only when we're satisfied that it complies with policy is it allowed to run on the network. So that's one area where we certainly try to remove the risk of any kind of misleading content, anything that isn't genuine. The policy bans certain content from running, whether it be gambling, whether it be drugs, guns, anything that we are concerned about, and we want to drive a trusted premium content. In terms of kind of local challenges as well, we work across many markets, and a couple of examples. One is Thailand, where there's a lot of risk in terms of content that's spoken around the royal family. They have a law called Le Majeste, and we have a responsibility and a duty of care to make sure that we don't do anything that can create any kind of issues for us. So as well as policy, as well as content review, we also apply a lot of keyword filtering as well to ensure that never will any content that can talk to or speak to or negatively speak to the royal family will ever make it onto the network. So it's something we take very seriously, and I think we certainly drive a lot of industry-leading standards in that space. No, I don't think it's going to be the Holy Grail. I think what's becoming more and more apparent is that content or discovery, I think, is becoming the third pillar of every marketer's strategy now. I think search is always going to be important. I think as long as people have high intent to buy or consume content, search is always going to be important for that. Again, I think social will always have a space because as people are bored and that's where we want to spend time looking for interesting content, I think it'll have a space. But what's clearly becoming apparent is that discovery is becoming more and more important, and it needs to be that must-buy in any marketer's plan, because there's a huge audience out there now that don't know about your product. They aren't aware of your new services, so they're never going to search for you. People are never going to share your content if they don't know about you. And the challenge that I think brands have today is that they want to make sure they're providing relevant content to the right users at the right time. And we live in a world where there's just too much information. On average, we all are bombarded with over 10,000 different messages every single day. So I think typical ads, display, banners are not good enough anymore. So I think that's where something like Discovery is going to provide a brand new opportunity for brands to engage their audience in a much more engaging way. Certainly, I think for 2020 and beyond, I think the priorities for us are twofold. I think one is, if we think about our publishers, we want to make our publishers much more successful. We want to drive much more engagement, audience development, which is going to lead to much more positive yield for publishers. So I think things like video is going to be an important feature in that. And we're going to allow brands to promote their premium video content on publishers' websites. I think in terms of audience development, we launched recently a product called Taboola News, which is where we're now embedding a Taboola news feed within the device itself. So we've signed exclusive agreements now globally with OEM manufacturers like Huawei, Vivo, ZTE, Sony. And really that's about delivering a great user experience to the mobile phone user while sending the clicks back to the internet. So unlike an Apple News experience, which keeps you in that environment, we're going to send users to the internet. So to publishers in India, users that are consuming content on a Huawei device, we're going to bring those users to the internet and allow the publishers to monetize and to drive much deeper engagement that way. So I think video and around Taboola News will look like the main priorities for us over the next year to 5 years.
So Taboola has been in the market in India for more than 5 years now. The publisher ecosystem pretty much knows us. They've been working with us. We are very grateful that they've put their trust on the Taboola platform, and most of the deals that we have are like multiple years, and we truly work in the spirit of partnership rather than just being like a vendor to publishers. On the advertising side, of course, because of the whole duopoly in the market, it's been a much more I wouldn't say challenging, but it's much more of an awareness that one has to go on to tell the brands that look beyond search and social. There is this third pillar called discovery, right, which you should not be missing. Every brand that needs to tell a story can tell that beautifully through this platform that Taboola has. So that I think would be one. And the second thing is thinking beyond just banners, right? We all know that whenever we go onto any site, we are like sort of, there's something that we call banner blindness, and it's true. And there's beyond a point, those you don't tend to see them. You see them, but you don't see them. So it doesn't really register. So brands need to sort of see beyond just banners and the creative ways to sort of engage with their audiences and make sure that the money that they're spending on advertisements really works for them. I think video is a key piece. I mean, everyone knows that a moving image is better than a still one. So GIFs, videos are very, very attractive for consumers. They're much more engaging. Videos by nature are very viral. So the shareability of videos is great for content per se. I think the three biggest ones for me would be a personalization. There's no one size fits all. So recommendation and personalization of video. I think artificial intelligence is playing a big role to make sure that we're gaining a lot, and that's one of the big things that Taboola does very well with hundreds of data scientists going through various parameters to make this whole recommendations piece much sharper in terms of what we sort of finally show the user, whether it's organic content or whether it's sponsored content. And the third one would be innovations within the video piece itself. Instead of just having a video playing, having more interactive videos, right? Where within the video itself, the audience could interact with the video. It could be right from lead gen to sort of e-commerce that could be embedded within the video itself. Those would be my three sort of biggest trends as far as video is concerned. So Taboola has always believed in doing things differently. When we started, we said that we need to give the advertisers their full money's worth. So we always adopted a model where we said that you pay only if you engage. So we have CPC as the currency, where only if you click on the ad do you pay us. So I think we started there, and this also translates to video as a format, where we have CPCV, which is like if you watch 30 seconds fully, that's when you pay Taboola. So I think in terms of performance metrics, it's key that you only pay for engagement and not impressions anymore, because that's totally passé. Taboola is like a language agnostic platform. We welcome all languages globally. Across the globe, I think we are present in over 32 languages, and all the important languages, I would say not important, but all the largely spoken languages within India are covered, and that includes English, Hindi, all the vernacular languages, regional languages of the south, that is Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, Kannada. We have Marathi, Bengali, Gujarati. And yeah, so languages has never been a barrier to get onto the platform for our publishers, and the same for our advertisers. So it's big, it's a focus area, and as our publishers keep adding languages, we are making sure that they get the maximum benefit out of the platform. And going forward, also we believe that regional languages will play a key role both on the advertiser side as well as the publisher side. So we do loads of case studies with brands and around various brand metrics that the brand may have. We usually work with third parties to sort of share that data. I'd like to share a very interesting one in US with a headphone brand called Flair. And this was a relatively unknown brand which came out of nowhere, and the owner was really interested in sound, and you could call him an audiophile. And for him to sort of, for someone to go and type on in the Google search Flair, he needs to spend a lot of money buying AdWords and such like that. And he's like an entrepreneurial guy. And this is where Taboola comes in handy, where he can come into the platform and for very little investment, he can actually do a lot of brand amplification, because Taboola works across 36,000 premium publishers. And suddenly when you see next to the publisher technology page or the gadget page, the headphone ad from Flair, it gives a lot of authenticity to the brand. It lends a lot of authenticity to this unknown brand, and suddenly people sit up and take notice, hey, I must try this. So, I mean, we do a lot of such creative case studies, and basically another example of how Taboola makes largely unknown brands known and successful, and we're all about audience, the advertiser success at the end of the day.